Space, the final frontier. Join us for a bold conversation. Our prime directive: to recap our favorite Star Trek shows, both new and old. To engage in debate about all things Trek. Prepare to energize with phasers set to stun.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Phasers Set to Stun. In this ongoing series from a Film by Podcast, we continue to show our love for every quadrant of the expanding Star Trek universe by covering television, animation, movies, directors, merchandise, and much more. Plotting the course, as always, is your core Trek crew. I'm Scott Hoffman.
I'm David Burns.
And I'm Wayne Whited.
And in this episode, we're continuing our coverage of Starfleet Academy by looking at the next to last episode of the season, 300th Night. This one's written by Kirsten Breyer and Kenneth Lynn, and in the director's chair is one of our favorites, Jonathan Frakes.
That's right.
Since it's so new, we're calling for a red alert on spoilers. If you haven't seen this latest episode, please go and watch and come back to join us later. All right, let's break it down. Wayne, why don't you give us a summary of what this latest episode is all about?
As the cadets celebrate the end of the year, Caleb struggles with frustration over his missing mother until he discovers old messages revealing she is hiding on the planet Ukek. Ignoring orders, he and Sam steal a shuttle to find her, and after a difficult journey, they reunite. But Caleb chooses to stay with her rather than return to Starfleet. Meanwhile, the Veneri Rao deploy stolen Omega mines capable of destroying warp travel, and when their forces arrive on Ukek, Caleb and his mother are forced to fight alongside the cadets until the USS Athena rescues them. Escaping with heavy damage and sacrificing its saucer section, the Athena discovers the Federation has been surrounded by Omega mines, leaving it as the only Starfleet ship outside the barrier.
I mean, Anisha is a very dedicated mom. I can definitely relate to reaching out to your kid several times and not getting an answer to emails. But I also kind of feel like that it's interesting that Sam gives him that breakthrough where he's able to find like the decryption code to be able to answer all those emails. But like, how many years of messages, right? Like, oh my goodness! I kind of wish they
thought my emails were bad. Wow.
Right. You have to bold things. Yeah.
Exactly.
I was happy to see Tatiana Maslany come back, and that was the thing that I had seen last week when I had seen, there's a spoiler, because I knew that it would involve his mother popping up again. What are your thoughts on seeing her back to start us off?
I mean, we knew she was coming back. She had to have, because that's Caleb's been whole his quest.
Right.
Is to find her. You knew they had to do it this season. And it was either going to be this episode or it was going to be the finale. So clearly it made sense for this one it to happen at. I find it interesting, though, that all the shenanigans that Caleb has pulled off by stealing the shuttle and leaving actually, I think, has kind of saved Starfleet because it pulled the Athena out of that box. So I think, they may be able to be mad at Caleb, but on the flip side of that, you're like, oh, wait a minute, Caleb kind of saved us, so maybe not.
Right, which is kind of an interesting flip. Like if they, if there's going to be a second season, it's not going to be formally known as Starfleet Academy, so right. I imagine they'll figure it out. But he's in kind of an interesting pickle because he finally reunites with his mom, but he's afraid to reveal that he's aligned with Starfleet.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that this is the next to last, that we're not left with this as the cliffhanger.
Oh, geez.
Because I understand there's dramatic tension for her to be like, I want nothing to do with Starfleet. There's a reason I've been outside of Starfleet this entire time. And now my son is aligned with Starfleet and being raised by the lady who separated us.
How devastating was that to her to find out that he was part of Starfleet, for one, but that whole sequence when Nala comes walking in and they make eye contact was just like, damn, you could cut the tension in that room with a knife. And
there's nowhere to go. Like they're trapped outside of everybody else. So it's like, so how have you been?
What's going on?
it was. I think it was a great. I think Tatiana did a great acting performance in this one. A lot of range in her reactions and reuniting with Caleb. I liked the scene where they're all being kind of held in the square for kind of group interrogation or something.
Yeah.
And she decides to help the kids. She decides to step up and be the one that kind of starts to save them anyway, even though they're ultimately saved by the Athena. But I liked seeing that turn. I kind of had a feeling at one point that they might make her completely leaned into the Rawl, like the bad guy organization. But I'm glad they didn't go there. I'm glad they kept her as somebody who's independent.
Yeah, I am too.
So you got both of you. I'm going to throw this out right here. This question right here. So you guys both like this episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say I did. I think it's interesting. Like I saw some of our producer's earlier comments that he was bored to tears by the first half.
Well, no, I understand what he's talking about, but because there's a lot to like in this episode, there really is. But I'm torn between whether I like it or not. I can't make that decision yet, only because I feel like there is so much story crammed in here. It feels like the writers really went like, oh damn, we only have 2 more episodes left. We got to get a move on here,
right?
With the story, and there was so much going on. And this, I really wish that they could have had like 3 episodes maybe to let this like flesh out and breathe a little bit. But instead we got an episode, in my opinion, felt a little bit rushed and a little bit difficult to take in, which I guess that's why it makes me so frustrated with this episode. But I'm going to wait and reserve judgment until next episode because I really want to see how this story is going to flesh out. In the end, see how they resolve this 2-parter. I want to know how they're going. I'm hoping that it makes more sense, but I really had trouble watching this episode. But there are a lot here that I do like, so I don't know. I really am torn whether I like it or not.
This is what happens when you waste an episode like they did a few weeks ago.
Yes,
True.
I agree. I agree. I think that we should have not have made that 1 episode and taken this and expanded it to 3 because there's a lot they could have done with these the 2 main storylines going on here. Because we all knew that he was going to find his mother, and we were all looking forward to that part because obviously that's where the story's been gone, and it's just like boom, here it is. We could have used an entire episode just with that story.
So is that how you would? What I was about to ask you is how would you split this episode? Like, would you have it be something where it's totally focused on the mere reunion and then kind of running out, and then the other half would be focused on Braca's plot?
Yeah, well, I would have made this a 3-parter, with part 1 centering around the finding his mother, and not bringing in the whole Omega and the wall that was created until maybe part 2.
Yeah.
I can see that.
One of the things that just seemed strange to me, and I know that they're basically, I assume, using the Omega to create a sphere around Federation space. It just sounds like a lot of work.
Well, if you knew what the Omega is, you would understand how why it's doing it. It's not something, it's not like they have to put like a million minds out there. It's an incredibly powerful. I'll get into that a little bit later at the Easter eggs, but it's not a new concept to Star Trek.
Okay, all right, it's good to know. What do we think about the? I guess one of the things that I had a little bit of a struggle with, even though it worked out, and I understand why ultimately everybody was on the shuttle. At first, when it was just Caleb and Sam, I liked that duo kind of getting trapped, getting swept into it. I could even see Genesis possibly becoming an accidental third. But it kind of bothered me when Raimi stumbled in, basically drunk, accidentally into the shuttle. That felt a little too convenient. But was I the only one?
No, I kind of agree with that. It's a pity that the fact that they crammed so much into this episode, some of the characters really had very little to do or barely appears in like a scene or two. I think that was one of the faults of this episode. But yeah, I agree. His story, he just seemed like he was kind of, squeezed in there just because they wanted him there rather than an actual purpose.
What were some favorite moments that stood out for this one?
So it was the scene when Remy was talking about Jaden, and remember we had that ceremony between Jaden and all the group, basically calling them his brothers and stuff like that. And Caleb got up and walked away, kind of thing. I love it when Remy lost his temper to Caleb because he basically said it was just a ritual. And Remy at the as loud as he could saying not to him, talking about Jaden. I love the fact that Remy is now like protecting Jaden. Remember, they started this series off, basically being a bully. Remy was a bully to Jaden, but now, it's a protected friendship. So I like that scene there, just to show the mere fact of how their relationship has grown strong. But for the mere fact too, that whole sequence really, when Caleb was basically giving that, I'm letting you guys go, and I'm going to tell you what I think you want to hear, just so I can piss you off and make you go away, so that I can feel good about myself to go with my mom, kind of that scene. Yeah. So I like that whole sequence there, even though it really pissed me off what Caleb was doing. But in the end, he did come back, and so did his mom. So,
yeah. Wayne, what about you?
Yeah, no, I do agree with David. I like that scene, the whole ritual, and the way they were arguing. But I also liked the scene between Remy and Sam when she helps him discover the messages. First of all, I like the fact that she pops right into the rooms. It reminds me of a conversation we had during Discovery about the way they're transporting back and forth in the rooms and how we couldn't figure out why the hell they're doing this. But that made me laugh. But I like that scene because I like these little intimate scenes between the one or two characters, and it was just such a Sam moment. I like that, and I love her character.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Sam did a great job in this. I like seeing where her character is going. I just hope with the emergence of Sam 2.0, we don't lose Sam 1.0.
Yeah,
a lot of the enthusiasm, not that it has to hang around all the time, but just, I don't know, I'll be interested to see where her character is going. She has that distance that's starting to be created between her and Genesis. And I understand she has to find herself a little bit more, but I hope it doesn't turn into isolation.
You can already see that she's fighting herself in this episode. Scott, I think you even brought this up last episode that you were wondering when that was going to take place, but they didn't wait long to start making that happen. So you already see it, and I agree with you. I hope she doesn't take over 1.0 because that was just pure joy to watch her, and now I see her as this teenager who's struggling with herself, finding herself, and she's losing what we love about her, and I hope that doesn't happen, but only time will tell.
Yeah.
Well, it might also be interesting, thinking of this, and Dave, you started off this whole series by comparing this to Hogwarts.
Yeah.
When you're talking about that, it's making me think about the fact that this is the end of the first year. In the second season, there's going to be a new freshman class.
Yep.
Technically, right? So now you've got the opportunity for Sam to have somebody do what Tilly had done for Sam. I could see the possibility of a new freshman coming in and Sam needing that 1.0 brightness and enthusiasm to come through for somebody else. That's kind of a mentor role. So hopefully that kind of brings it back.
You brought up something I never really considered in the fact that, they will be moving year per year, kind of like Harry Potter did. And that could mean that, introduction of new characters along the line within the seasons, new ones that could start interacting. Now, I'm not talking about main cast members, but it also means that we could also see some of these characters that we're familiar with leave as well and be replaced by some of these newer characters. So, it kind of gives a new light on what can happen in the future for the series.
Yep, and I think they have that formula for bringing in fresh blood, like Strange New Worlds does, in surprising ways. So I'll be interested to see where that goes. one of my favorite moments was when Caleb talks to Tarima in the hallway. I thought it was an interesting moment of catching a Betazoid off guard, where she couldn't really read someone that she should be able to read more than anybody else because of being so close to him, despite the inhibitor. But his, I think their dialogue when he was basically saying goodbye to her, I thought there was some great acting performances between the pair. Her just having that moment of like, this is what I have wanted to hear from you. This is him really being genuine. This is him really kind of reaching out to her. And she's like, but I can kind of understand what, what's happening, that you're basically saying goodbye. You're being genuine with me, but I don't know what that means. Like, you're leaving the academy, you're leaving the ship, you're stepping out for a summer sabbatical, whatever might be happening. But I thought that was an interesting dialogue.
Well, let me. I also want to throw this out because this is absolutely bonkers. Okay, but I got to tell you this because it popped up in my head when I was watching this, and this is some crazy speculation. But for practically every episode we've had of Starfleet Academy, we've been hearing about this. How would you put it? Troublesome Talaxian furfly that keeps being called out by the digital dean. This time it's gone missing and it's entered the science lab replicator. What if that plays a factor in the solution of everything?
Right.
We've been seeing this mentioned. It's mentioned in every freaking episode. What if I'd be really disappointed if that doesn't somehow come into the storyline and makes, even if it's just a little thing that makes them, hey, we can use this or whatever. But I don't know why that, like I said, that's crazy.
So then in the upcoming season of Short Treks, they need to have some kind of collaboration with DreamWorks or Pixar or something like that. And then you've got A Bug's Life starring the furfly and the warp slug.
Yeah. I do like the digital dean talking about going into the closet. I thought that was hysterical.
Yeah. Yeah. Stephen Colbert is doing a great job as the digital dean. I'm glad that's like a recurring character.
Yeah.
Well, of all the crew members, which one do you think shined the most? Wayne, let's start with you.
Well, before we go to that, hold on. I got something I want to mention. One thing that I do not want to take as a detractor from this episode is I thought it was directed extremely well by Jonathan Frakes.
Oh, yes. I'm glad you brought that up.
The scene where Caleb is looking for his mom on the planet, and like you get a lot of the steady cam like moving around, turning at different angles and stuff like that, adding to that dimension of he's looking around, so it gives you that vibe, that feeling as an audience that you're there with him. But on top of that, and again, every week we talk about the amazing score that we get. Once again, there are so many pieces in this episode that are done extremely well. I love the fact that we get, when he's on that planet looking for his mom, that we get like that Arabian style of music. Did you recognize that?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, Russell's been doing a fantastic job with the score of this, and I'm glad you brought up that because I didn't even think about it. But I can understand why they give this episode to Frakes. It definitely reeks of his style, and he does have a directing style. You see it in First Contact, you saw it in Insurrection, and I definitely see it here. And he is excellent, absolutely excellent.
I wonder if he'll come back for the next episode. Because I don't see any notes on who's directing.
No, he just mentioned, and a lot of people are taking this out of context. He said that he has directed his last Star Trek episode. They forget to add the part to date because I guess he didn't direct any during season 2. Okay. I think he couldn't work out his schedule, but if they go into season 3, I'm sure he'll be back. He said he would.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I hope not. I know that he has to slow down at some point, but yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Nope.
Not anytime soon.
Nope.
Anything else we wanted to highlight?
No.
All right. Wayne, why don't you talk to us about which crew member you think shined the most?
All right. Well, I think this is pretty obvious because, there's so much happening in this episode. Like I said before, and most of the characters really didn't get too much to do. But, this is Caleb's episode. We knew this was going to happen. We knew that he was always going to be reunited with his mother, which is, I got to give it a shout out to I know he's pronounced her name wrong.
Tatiana Maslany.
Thank you very much, because she's a fantastic actress. I think I'm probably the only person in the world that likes She-Hulk, but
I did too.
Did you? Thank you.
Yes,
thank you. She's a fantastic actress. Star Trek is blessed to have her on the show, and she did a great job. And the combination of the two of them together was fantastic, and that's why I'm giving the shine to both of them. Because it really was the emotional highlight for the episode, the moment we've been waiting for, and a really powerful performance from the both of them.
Dave, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Wayne on this one. It's obviously Caleb's episode, and I already talked about. I thought the standout moment was when he's deliberately pushing his friends away. I thought there was a lot of good content right there, and it was just one of those moments where he didn't mean anything that he said. He just had to say it so that he could get them to run away. It's kind of like those movies where you've got a wild animal and you've got to let it go, and you just basically berate it with language to get it away from you because you've got to set it free. It's the same scenario here, and I just thought he did such a fantastic job with that. I like this scene too where he goes into the office because he wants to say something to Nala, but then he turns around and leaves, remember?
Yeah.
And he doesn't explain himself or what he needs or what he's about to do, that he had got in contact with his mom because she had a lot on her plate at the time. And he recognized that. So, he had to leave and basically do everything on his own, which he thought would be on his own, until his friends came to his rescue. So, definitely Caleb episode. There's no doubt about it. And he was trying. There was elements throughout the episode that some of the other characters had some strong moments, but Caleb was clearly the winner.
I agree with you two completely. I'll just start there. But one of the standout crew members to me was Admiral Vance. When he has his "don't bullshit a bullshitter" moment. We've had some moments with admirals in the past. Don't get Jeff started. But it's one of those moments where he could have doubled down and said, if they're going to go rogue, they're going to go rogue, and we can't risk the Academy and everything else. He's like, I'm not even going to waste my time. I know that you're going to try everything that you can, and I'm essentially going to officially say that I'm allowing you to go right to the edge, right to the brink, and reach out with comms as much as you can, but just know that if you go beyond that, there's nothing I can do to help you. There's no threat. There's nothing where he's saying, if you cross that line, kiss your career goodbye. And Holly Hunter had this great, delivery where she's like, thank you for being such a good friend. Like, they have that connection and that moment that is a turn from what we've seen from a lot of admirals. But I like their friendship. I like their stance. I like his trust. And he knows that she has a responsibility to these kids that is so parental that he's like, I can't override that. So you do what you have to do. Please be careful, but know that you can't have any backup. So that was a standout moment for me. Well, as far as who you would want to be, I'm imagining not one of the kids in the square that's getting punched repeatedly.
Poor Remy.
Yeah. Wayne, let's start with you. Who would you want to be in this episode?
This is hard because I don't really want to be anybody except for maybe Vance because he's not really there. But I'm going to choose Caleb this time because he finally, with a little help from Sam, found the missing link that he was able to track down his mother, which was the whole point of this character up to this point. I don't envy him some of the choices that he had to make. Just having to decide between his mother and his friends and fellow cadets and everything. But, he made the choice. We'll just have to wait till next episode and see if it was the right one. But I chose him.
Dave, what about you?
I'm pulling the same card I pulled a few weeks ago because this bastard Vance apparently could be wherever he's at, safe and sound, and he could just pop in and out whenever he wants to be with no harm. So, where is this guy? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm going to borrow that card next time. I don't know why I didn't do it this time.
Like, what the hell? It's ridiculous is what it is. It's almost to the point where it's becoming humorous because somebody in the crew needs to point this out. Dude, you need to come about and help us out here instead of just popping in and out. Where the hell are you?
I'm picturing the next episode, Dave. He's going to show up in a Lebowski robe. Just like, hey man, like,
right?
are you good? Maybe there is no Admiral Vance. Maybe he's an EMH because the real Admiral Vance died. Ooh.
Or he's gonna be in the next Mummy. I don't know.
I mean, you never know. For me, I'm going with Jet Reno again.
No.
Tig Notaro did another great job, and it seemed like she was having, even though it was a pretty stressful situation, had a lot of fun at the helm, had some great lines. She's one of my favorite characters from this Discovery era, I'll have to say. I'm glad that they introduced this character and that this character continues to stay with us. So I'd go with Jet.
Good call.
Yeah.
All right. I think we have some Voyager Easter eggs, right, Wayne?
We do.
There's a few. Yeah, there's definitely a few here. Of course, the big Easter egg in this episode is obviously the Omega particle. And let me go into that one. In the Star Trek Voyager episode, the Omega Directive, it's revealed that Omega is a highly unstable particle and one of the most destructive elements known to exist. The Starfleet has a directive that only those of the rank of captain or above have any knowledge of this particle. And should they come across it, it has to be destroyed. Because of its ability to disrupt subspace and render warp travel impossible, that directive stands above all others, including the Prime Directive. You can disobey the Prime Directive in order to destroy Omega. Captain Janeway and the Voyager came across a civilization that had produced up to 200 million of the Omega particles, but were killed off by their experiments. So Voyager was able to neutralize these particles before they could do any more damage. And the graphics that we see in this episode of Omega is exactly the same as the graphics in that Voyager episode. I got to admit, good call for the designers. They really know their stuff here. All right, and also another thing is it's no surprise that this episode's writer, Kristen Beyer, would write this episode that features the Omega particle, because back in 2012 she wrote a Star Trek Voyager novel called The Eternal Tide, which revealed that Omega is a fragment of the Omega Force, which is a force that caused the Big Bang and created the universe. It's because of this that it's revealed that Omega can be synthesized and recreated, leading to the Omega 47 that we get in this episode. Let me say that The Eternal Tide is a really good novel, and I'm hope to be reviewing that soon. I have to pick up a copy of it. I lost my copy quite a few years ago, but it's a really, really good one. Now, there's another thing. I'm not sure if you guys caught this, but that Klingon bonding rite, what is it? Ruste, that Jaden and the cadets performed. We've seen that once before in the Star Trek The Next Generation episode, The Bonding. Lieutenant Worf performs it with a young boy named Jeremy Astor after his mother had been killed on an away mission. Let's see, what else do I got? Captain Aki mentions that she's going to have the Athena Pola Kimau. And that's a reference to what Captain Burnham and Captain Rayner did with their starships in the atmosphere of the planet Kamau in the Star Trek Discovery 5th season episode, Red Directive. We reviewed that last year, so check that one out. The isolinic burst weapon that the Venedri Ral used is very similar to what the Sona used against the Enterprise in Star Trek Insurrection. And this is not an Easter egg, but I'm going to mention it. Once again, someone needs to tell Starfleet that calling all their ships back into one area is really, really bad idea. Come on, guys. You remember Star Trek Picard Season 3? Remember Wolf 359? It never ends well.
Right. And advertising it. Maybe
Yes.
keep it on the download. Not that it's easy to hide an armada, but...
This is the same group who puts all their trust in a droid.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep bringing that one out, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
All right.
I do have to say before we go any further, the ending to this episode, the cliffhanger, I thought was incredible.
Yeah.
Where she's calling out for a mayday, and to me it really resonated as like aliens. I don't know why, but I just got that vibe on how when Ripley puts out that call. I got that vibe in this episode. I just thought that was really, really well done. And you just see that like they are literally by themselves now, and they are the only hope for Starfleet at this time.
Yeah, I thought it was a great way to end it, where it fades to black and you still hear that Mayday being called out.
Yes. Yeah.
It's also interesting that when that was happening, all I could hear was India Golf Niner Niner, abort, abort, there are children on board from The Incredibles. But yeah, I'll be interested to see where they go with it and what kind of cliffhanger we're left with. I don't know much about Omega other than what's been told here and what Wayne shared with us, but I'm imagining that the damage that's done is maybe not impossible to repair, but probably pretty difficult. Like it's not a matter, like, have they set these things off and now it's the damage is done, or is it just the threat that those are all there?
I believe it's the threat, because they had mentioned that if she brought the Athena through that line, it would set them off, and it would be devastating. I mean, like I mentioned, this is the particles that caused the Big Bang.
Right.
You know, this would be extremely devastating, not just to the Federation, but to the galaxy. We're talking, we're talking about a galaxy-wide threat, which Star Trek does, pretty well, especially in recent years. So, the stakes are very high for this next episode.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing Bracca's, for somebody to get him monologuing, for him to talk about, like, why he's doing it and what his mustache twirling agenda is with them. But we'll have to see.
I think it's brilliant, though. He's not in this episode at all, but he's still present.
Oh, yeah.
Threats
That
there
is
from him.
so well done how they did that.
Yeah. It's a great villain. We've said that from the beginning. So I hope that obviously continues. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for us. One more to go. This next week we've got Rubicon. I'm looking forward to it.
They gave a bit of a blurb for it. It's very vague, but
go ahead.
I had to dig for this one too. It wasn't exactly out there, but it says, in the season finale, the return of an old enemy forces Nala to confront her own mistakes as the cadets and instructors undertake a seemingly impossible mission to save the Federation while defining the future of Starfleet. So there you go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Could they possibly sneak in through the transwarp conduit, wormhole, whatever they used to get there in the first place?
Well, yeah, that is a thought too. And I also want to bring up Discovery doesn't use that type of warp drive too. They just pop in and out as well. They could use that.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Well, as Nala found out, there is design flaws.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. One or two.
Yeah, one or two.
But all right. Well, thank you both as always. It's always a pleasure. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Great fun.
We'll be back next week to talk about that last episode of the season. And listeners, we hope you come back with us. Hailing frequencies are always open for you to share your thoughts on and questions on Facebook, Instagram, and your favorite social platforms. Find us online at afilmbypodcast.com for our articles and episodes streamed for free. Make sure to watch for us on YouTube. And emails at afilmbypodcast@gmail.com. If you're looking for more exclusive content and swag, send some platinum our way through our Patreon, and we'll see you next time for another episode of Phasers Set to Stun. Thanks, everybody.